Earlier today, Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle resigned just one day after a disastrous hearing before the House Oversight Committee after demands from both sides of the political aisle that she step down. Matthew Peterson is editor-in-chief of Blaze News, and Steve Baker is an investigative journalist for Blaze News. So, Steve, this is a different tone, right? Yesterday, Cheatle said that she would not resign. So what led to this sudden change?
Absolutely no idea. I mean, we really don't know. I mean, that's not the answer you wanted to hear from me. I'm supposed to know these things. I'm supposed to be maybe the expert that has investigated this and found out. But the reality is that she did. She did a 180 from yesterday, very defiant, telling those Congress members that she was not going to resign and that she was, in fact, the best person for the job. She got a phone call last night or early this morning from somebody, probably somebody at the very top of the food chain at DHS, and it's time for you to move on. And that's the most likely scenario. Is that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, we should be honest. I mean, I was on here yesterday saying, look, she doesn't have to resign, and I think that's right. The irksome thing about it was the attitude was, I don't have to. We're the administrative state, and you don't really rule us, Congress. So none of us are convinced that Congress actually is the reason, the hearing is the reason for her resigning. But certainly there was enough pressure somewhere for her to resign. We should be honest that, she did resign, which is a good thing. That's what she should have done. On the other hand, the immediate thought is this part of the cover-up? which is a little ridiculous, right? But also is a serious question. Will they actually then investigate what happened? Or will they say, well, we got rid of her, and everything's okay?
Well, it was the House Oversight Committee. We have House Speaker Mike Johnson in his initial response after Cheatle's resignation.
The task force that we'll be putting together is going to be very important. As I said, they have three responsibilities: to investigate what happened, the debacle that happened 2 Saturdays ago, to hold those accountable. It certainly was the director, Cheatle, but there may be others in the line of authority who are also culpable in what happened and the errors and mistakes there, and finally to ensure that those mistakes do not happen again.
So he said there, they want to make sure that they hold the people accountable. Every guest that we have had on since we've basically launched Blaze News tonight is you can't look at the FBI, the Secret Service, any government agency as going to be holding their feet to the fire, making sure that you get the answers that you need. So do we have any faith in what Speaker Johnson is saying here?
Look, removing Cheatle does not change the culture at Secret Service. It doesn't change the culture at the Department of Homeland Security. It doesn't change the culture of the lead agency working the investigation right now, the FBI, who nobody trusts to get this right. Which is exactly why what we spoke about yesterday, why groups like Heritage Foundation's Oversight Project, Blaze Investigations, and so many others are doing the independent work because we don't trust FBI to answer, not even to answer our questions.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about this? What do you call it? Task force? Congress is going to try to get to the bottom of this. I mean, that's what Johnson is saying. So the speaker is signaling, and I want to give him a benefit of the doubt. I mean, I would just roll my eyes, which is my first reaction, and say, oh, you guys will write some strong letters at the end of this. But that is their job, right? I mean, do we have any hope that this will get somewhere?
We will definitely get more fiercely and strongly worded letters out of them, but that's all that they're going to get right now under this administration. Until the administration changes, the culture at that agency, at all of the agencies under DHS, are not going to change.
And Steve, you were saying before, when Kimberly Cheatle was asked direct questions yesterday about shell casings, she would not give an answer, yet we could still find that answer somewhere else.
Well, It's exactly what she was doing yesterday, was what they always do in these congressional hearings, is just avoid, obfuscate, and don't answer. And they're not answering questions that have to do with, as I said before, some top secret information or some classified investigative techniques. All she was asked over and over again is, do you know how many shots that the shooter fired? Mm-hmm. And she wouldn't answer a simple question like that. Well, today, the Pennsylvania State Police Chief told us it was 8 shell casings found on the roof. See how easy that was?
Right.
It's not hard.
Then why are we getting this kind of a pushback? And again, she's gone now. It's great, but the problem will still remain because the rot is still there.
I mean, they're like Steve said, they're not going to change the culture. The culture is, screw you, we're in charge. You're not really our bosses. And as I said yesterday, the reason that she would have to step down is not because of the power of Congress or its oversight capacity, according to the Constitution, but because of public pressure getting so great that they feel like she's a greater risk than not. And we need to mention, what you said about DHS is true. First off, thank you, Bush, for that. Thanks for creating that department, Republican, right? And look at how it's turned out. Mayorkas has gotten away with everything. I mean, everything. And so if you trust him right now, he's still the one in charge of this. So what Steve is saying is correct. He's okay with getting rid of her, presumably, and thinks that makes political sense right now. But that has nothing to do with revealing the truth about the situation.
And we now know one of the major causes of this massive security failure, according to whistleblowers. Somebody approached Senator Josh Hawley, and at least one individual assigned to guard the rooftop abandoned his post due to hot weather that day. So is this typical for our security agencies to just go through and say, oh, you guys, it's a little hot out there. You know what? I'm not just going to stand my post here.
This is exactly the problem that we were talking about, is the culture has deteriorated. We are looking at a DEI culture, not a culture of excellence. We're talking about people that should be able to stand in any temperature at any time under any circumstances, any weather, and guard their post without being leaving. That person right there should be fired, should be dismissed, if maybe even charged with a crime.
And Matthew, we know that the FBI is just notorious for missing all of the red flags. If we just go back to any of the school shootings that we've had in this country. So is this going to be malice or simply incompetence when we get to the end?
I mean, of course, you can't say malice. I think that you have to say, though, that there's a malice underneath all the DEI policies. Mm-hmm. It's a hatred of excellence. It's a hatred of merit. And that ultimately leaves the country in a very vulnerable position. There's also the fact that they were not giving the Trump campaign and Trump's family what they wanted, and what their security experts were telling them when they needed more people. So I don't think you need to rush to the idea that there was some kind of hit job here or whatever. I've been able to falsify that just in terms of incompetence, severe incompetence of the worst possible kind that borders on malice, where it's not a hit, but it's a bad sort of incompetence. We still don't know a lot, though. By the way, I mean, we're still learning a lot of details. So there's a lot we need to know. What we do know is enough to say that people should be prosecuted because they didn't stand post because there was such a dereliction of duty.